The indie author revolution has been around for more than a decade, but we indies continue to push the boundaries of what we're capable of. From getting over initial prejudices to staring down perfectionism and author imposter syndrome, we've become a force to reckon with. Indie authors now wear more hats than ever as we strive to create a career full of meaning, prosperity, and potential. We've juggled the demands and continue to be rebels in the face of adversity. Now, after years of hearing the shouts of hustle and grind, we indies are rebelling again. Gone are the days of publishing a book a month until we drop, and in its place are the seeds of a better way to rapid release. A way that feels incredible as we build a sustainable, lifelong author career that not only increases our visibility and royalties, but it's all done with intention and ease. If you're ready to buck the system and become the visionary authorpreneur I know you're meant to be, you've come to the right place. I'm Carissa Andrews, international best-selling indie author, and this is the Author Revolution podcast. Well, hey there, and welcome back to the Author Revolution podcast. Oh, how is Mercury Retrograde treating you, my friend? It has been kicking my butt. So I thought, why not have a conversation about Mercury Retrograde and surviving it for authors? Because I think sometimes we can forget just how powerful and potent Mercury Retrograde can be on our day, on our system, on our creativity. And if you're not following Mercury Retrograde or like into astrology at all, you could be feeling right now like, what is up? The energy is like just super weird and not quite sure how to deal with it. Well, that's because Mercury is the ruler of communication. Not only is it the ruler of communication, but it's also the ruler of our nervous system. So you might be feeling more anxious, more nervous, or tense and unable to like unwind. It just gets a little bit crazy when Mercury goes retrograde. So let's talk about this retrograde just a little bit. Right now we are in like the beginning stages. So Mercury is retrograde this fall, September 9th through October 2nd. And in that time frame, it goes backwards, right? It goes retrograde first through Libra. So even though we're in Virgo right now, it is traveling backward through Libra, September 9th through the 23rd. And then it starts going retrograde through Virgo, September 23rd through October 2nd. Which is, it's a little weird to get your head wrapped around since it's opposite of what we're doing right now, right? Now let's talk a little bit about the retrograde through Libra. During that time frame, this year, it's really forcing us to review our typical communication modes. Like, how do we typically speak about things? How do we typically write about things? How do we typically deal with people and situations? And in essence, the way that Mercury retrograde really is trying to teach us things, it's to slow down, right? So if you want to be able to make it through this period of retrograde through Libra, really what you want to do is kind of slow yourself down a little bit, read the room before speaking, maybe develop new paths of being or connecting. So if the ways that you were communicating when Mercury was direct weren't working for you, is there something different you can try right now? Is there a new way that you can interact or communicate with your readers or with your fellow writers or with your family members? Because all of that is really important as we're moving forward, right? We don't want to like cause a whole bunch of drama while Mercury's in retrograde, only to have to like fix it all back up in October, right? Now, Libra is also associated with legal matters. So don't be surprised if like weird contracts or things go wonky, like payments fail or you accidentally deleted something, or Amazon drops all of your pre-orders, or there's all sorts of crazy things. But if you're doing anything new, make sure you are double checking and triple checking new contracts, because that will be also key. Now, those are kind of the two main things that retrograde Libra deals with. But let's talk about the retrograde through Virgo, because Virgo is ruled by Mercury, and so this has a huge impact as well. Now, Virgo, we're analytical, right? We love to like see all the nitty-gritty details. We like to give advice, but be sure that you are buffering any constructive criticism with a praise sandwich, right? Start with a positive, talk about what needs to be fixed quick, and then end with a positive, because many people, right, regardless of where Mercury is on their chart, they're going to be really sensitive to any kind of criticism. And so we need to be a little bit more, not just Virgos, all people need to be more conscientious of how we're speaking to other people and how we are delivering information that may or may not be needed, you know what I mean? But maybe it's not as positive as it could be. Like if it's something that is actually criticism, we need to be careful of how we're doing that, or at least be a little bit more cognizant of how we want them to feel. Now, Virgo's also a really big wellness junkie, right? So now could also be a good time to go into a deeper dive into your self-care and wellness. It's time to slow down and maybe take a closer look at how you've been treating your body, how you've been treating your diet, how you've been treating your workout regimen, because maybe it's time to reduce inflammation and improve your gut health, because Virgo also rules your digestion. And so maybe it's time to start kind of really thinking about all of those things. Virgo loves organization. So maybe sit down and map out your workout plan and diet plan. Did I tell you that I've also done this? I did it actually before Mercury went retrograde, but I just knew that I wanted to kind of get back into my routine. I've always been like a Jillian Michaels fan, and then I was a Beachbody fan. I'm still a Beachbody fan. And so I was like, you know what? I want to do something to make myself feel better. I'm trying to figure out, what workout plan I wanted to do. And of course, the Vegas trip is coming up. So 20 Bucks Vegas is coming up. Well, I decided on 80-day obsession. And when I was mapping it out, I kid you not, when I figured out how long this thing was going to go and when it was going to end, it was literally that day that I was planning it and getting ready to start. It ended the day before we go to Vegas. Like, I couldn't have planned this thing out any better. It was just divinely timed, I swear to God. And so now I am actually in phase 2 of this workout plan, which is like day 28, I think I'm on. And it's just so crazy because it's been such a lovely reminder of why I love working out, why I love eating healthy. And so it's been an interesting time. So maybe this is time for you to get back into your healthy habits, to get back into your healthier digestion, your healthier being, so that maybe your nervous system can take a little bit of a break. Because remember, when you get out of whack, or if you get too much inflammation in your body, your body's trying to compensate in ways that don't feel good, which makes you more anxious, which makes you more nervous, which makes you more tense. And then the cycle just continues to go around and around and around. The other thing I want to talk about with Mercury retrograde is its retro shade. So if you've never heard of this, there is this little time period where after Mercury goes back direct on October 2nd, we're going to still feel some of the effects of Mercury retrograde, like some of the weird communication wonkiness, some of the anxiety-y type vibes, right? And the reason for that is that retrograde effects linger until Mercury arrives back at the same degree of the zodiac where it began its backspin. And so during that time, from October 2nd to October 17th, there's going to be just a little bit of lingering vibes there that we have to kind of iron out. Now, overall, when it comes to Mercury retrograde for an author, the interesting thing is it doesn't have the same types of scary connotations as it does for people just in general. Like, Mercury is all about communication. So sometimes we're going to have issues with family members. We're going to have issues with the people who are closest to us. Maybe something crazy is going to get said on social media, whatever it is. It's typically more of the outward facing you. But when it comes to our writing, sometimes Mercury retrograde is actually really beneficial because it's forcing you to slow down. That's what Mercury retrograde is all about. It wants you to slow down, think about things a little bit differently, look at them from different angles. And sometimes it's actually a really great time to do some recalibrating. In fact, scratch that. It's just a great time to do a bunch of rework. So let's get into the nitty-gritty of what those sort of things look like, because those are your 7 tips for today. All right, so tip 1, to be able to make it through this Mercury retrograde and come out on the other side, start to reimagine. Reimagine what your world will look like. Reimagine what you want for your author career. Reimagine how you want things to be on a day-to-day normal basis. So rather than focusing on how things are going wrong or wonky or, oh my God, what if, things never go right again? Scratch that. Now's the time to go introspective. Now's the time to reimagine what you want. Declare to the universe what you want. Start looking at it and start visualizing it in a way that makes it more concrete, so that when Mercury goes direct, you can be more concrete in your decision and your desire of how you want your author career to move forward. All right? Tip number two, reread. Like if you're in the middle of a story, or if you are feeling stuck with your books, or if you are thinking about starting a new story come October for, Preptober, whatever the case might be, reread. Go back and reread whatever you've written. Go back and reread the story before the one that you're trying to write. Take some time to reread what you've already written so that you can reacquaint yourself with everything that you have done so far. Because now's a really good time to just kind of get back into that vibe and that mode of what it is you're trying to accomplish by revisiting what you've already done, okay? There's a lot of re's in here. It's really cool. Every time I say like the tip, there's another re in there. All right. So tip number 3, revise. This is also a great time to be doing some edits. So if you have been thinking about doing edits on your stories for a while and you just haven't gotten to it, now is a great time to do it. And it's going to help you to look at things and see things from a slightly different perspective than when you maybe wrote the story, right? So take some time, go through your stories, go through your chapters, do some revisions and see how they turn out. All right, tip number 4. Now this one is more about just you, like reflecting on how far you've come. It's about understanding the accomplishments you've really gotten throughout this time frame. Maybe it's throughout this past year. Like reflect on everything that you've put into your author career thus far, everything you've written, everything you have been trying to accomplish. How far have you actually come? Reflect on that and feel gratitude for it, because as you feel the emotions and gratitude for it, they'll expand outward. It expands outward into your reality. It expands outward once Mercury goes back direct. There is so much benefit to reflecting on all of the good things that you have already accomplished. And I want you to take some time and really think about that. All right, tip number 5 is reset. Now, if there are things in your author career that are not going the way you planned, maybe they're not feeling as good as you want them to feel, or maybe there are things in your author career where you're just like, yeah, I really don't like doing TikToks, or I really don't like doing Facebook posts, or whatever the case might be. I want you to reset your dial right now to what is it you do want. Maybe it's time to just go, you know what? I'm no longer going to do TikToks until they feel good to me. Or reset to the point where I'm only going to write on Monday through Friday. Or reset in whatever way feels good to you, because it's going to have to help you move forward. You've had these things niggling at the back of your mind for a while, and now is a really great time to be thinking about how do you go about shifting? How do you go about creating that life that you've kind of reimagined already? How do you start making those incremental shifts to make sure that you get there? So reset is a really great thing to be doing right now. Okay, tip number 6, relax. Relax. This slowdown period is all about the reflection that we're going through, like reflecting on our lives, reflecting on our abilities, reflecting on our aspects. And so it's not the time to be pushing through the boundaries of it. Now's the time to kind of lean back and take in a little bit more of what it is that you need, like replenish yourself, relax into different things that help you feel good. Now, maybe that's meditating. Maybe that is not writing right now. Maybe it is using writing as a form of self-reflection instead of your novels. Maybe it's writing your novels to escape. Whatever it looks like for you, take the time to relax into it. Relax your body, relax yourself, be gentle with yourself, and stop judging yourself for not doing the things that maybe you would normally be doing. Not judging yourself, period, because let's face it, we don't need to be judgy of ourselves, right? We need to be kind and loving and gentle with how we're going forward with our author careers. We're still in this creative process, and it sometimes is scary. It sometimes feels like we are all alone in it. And if we're going to beat up on ourselves as well, how can we create this career that we love? How can we create the momentum of building something that we truly enjoy when we are fighting with ourselves and making ourselves feel like we are less than? And that's not how it should work. So take time to relax into it. Take time to just relax, period. Maybe it's read some books, take a nice hot bath with a glass of wine, whatever. Relax, just chill out a little bit and let yourself kind of ride the waves of Mercury retrograde. All right, tip number 7, it's recommit. Now we Virgos, we love the recommit part. We love to be able to get into the nitty gritty, know exactly how we're going to recommit and be ready to rock and roll. And the reason it's the last tip is because it kind of impacts, like everything else impacts this particular one, right? You have to start with the imagine, the reimagine, and go all the way through until you can decide and recommit to what it is you really want. And it's such a great period because as we're doing this, as we're revisiting our entire career and taking a moment to really look at things and deciding for ourselves how we want it to look, how we want it to actually work for us, the easier it is to recommit to that new vision. So recommit to what it is you want. Recommit to your writing. Recommit to how you're going to respond to your readers or how you're going to, work with your author career. Whatever you feel like you have slipped with your commitments on, look at those and recommit to all that you want to become and all that you know you're going to be. Okay? Now, Mercury retrograde, I always look at this as like a really great period for my writing. It's always worked out really well. Like if I'm writing a novel during Mercury retrograde, it always turns out really, really well. And I want you to, rather than feeling like, oh no, it's Mercury retrograde, this is going to be a shit time of the year, drop that. Like there might be a little bit of drama going on in your household. Okay, fair enough. But for your writing, it is almost always going to help you to do a much better job or to be really committed to the writing that you're in the process of creating. It's all about that Mercury retrograde. It's all about that slowing down and looking at things from a different direction. And when we do that, when we allow the process to unfold the way it is meant to, amazing things can happen. Amazing things. Stories can have such interesting twists, and the way that you write could change and alter and become more and grow. All right. I hope this was helpful for you. I hope it gives you a little bit of insight into how Mercury retrograde is working for us this month and next month, and how it kind of impacts the way that we're going to be interacting in our normal life and how it's impacting our writing. Because it truly is. It's a perception-based thing. So when we're looking at it in different ways, we can definitely use it to our advantage and make sure that we are pushing ourselves in a way that is actually beneficial to us rather than feeling like we have to just like drop the ball, drink all the wine, and ignore the world until Mercury goes direct again. That's not how this has to happen, right? This is not how we have to roll. We just need time and peace to kind of just reacquaint ourselves with who we want to be, how we want to write, the way we want to live and communicate, and of course, be gentle with those around us too. All right, so if you'd like to get the transcript to today's podcast episode, head over to authorrevolution.org/149, and you can download it right there. And if you are, of course, looking for any kind of additional information when it comes to this type of stuff, I would really love for you to check out my Millionaire Author Challenge. It's all about the law of attraction and helping you understand more about how manifestation works for authors, how law of attraction works for authors, and how we can elevate ourselves out of a poverty mindset and into one of more abundance. So head over to millionaireauthorcoach.com/challenge if you want to check that out. I would love to have you in the challenge. It is an evergreen course as of right now, and so you can enjoy it as you need it and get the insights and tips, and there are fun games in there that really can help you to shed some of the limiting beliefs and feel better about where you're at right now. I hope you have a wonderful, wonderful week. Enjoy the Mercury retrograde. Don't be afraid of it. And we will see you again next week. Go forth and start your author revolution.